record that the commissioners are attending this meeting via the web, and a quorum of commissioners is present for today's meeting. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Conrad,
Here.
Commissioner Geller,
Here.
Commissioner Weller,
Here.
Chair Ramirez.
Here. Will the clerk please inform the commission of any guests that have joined today's meeting?
Yes, we have Nate Carter from the Department of Justice.
Members of the public had an opportunity to provide written public comment to the commission for the meeting. Can the clerk please confirm that no public comment was received?
That is correct. We did not receive any comments this month.
All right, thank you. Let's turn it over to Director Wells for the director's report.
Thank you, Chair Ramirez. Good morning, commissioners. It has been a busy month for lottery, so I've got a lot to share today. And first, I'd like to start out with some Lottery Commission news. So I'm pleased to share that Oregon Senate confirmed Governor Kotek's recommendation to reappoint Chair Ramirez to this commission. So congratulations, Chair Ramirez. Thank you for the years you have served and dedicated to this commission already, and we look forward to continuing to work with you in a number of years to come. So thank you. Also, the Senate confirmed Phil Dodd to the commission effective January 1st to fill the constitutionally required law enforcement seat, which has been vacant for a while. Commissioner Dodd brings 27 years of experience with the Oregon State Police, including 20 years in the gaming division, and nearly 18 of it focused on vendor backgrounds and compliance with Oregon Lottery and Oregon Tribes. With his deep firsthand knowledge of the gaming industry, I believe he's going to be an outstanding asset to the commission, and we really look forward to Commissioner Dodd joining us in January. Moving on, as a reminder, Oregon Lottery proudly sponsors Oregon Teacher of the Year program. Earlier this month, I had the privilege of traveling to Springfield to surprise Sally Golden, Oregon's newly named Teacher of the Year. For a little background, Ms. Golden is a dedicated special education teacher with the Springfield Public School District, where she leads a community transition program. And this program helps students with disabilities who have graduated with modified diplomas or certificates to gain independence and build essential life skills so they can move out into the community and support themselves. I was honored to be the one to present Mrs. Golden with a $10,000 check in recognition of her outstanding work, and also was able to award the district a $5,000 check to the Community Transition Program to continue to support its vital mission. It's awesome that our staff get to go out and present these checks across the state. And this is a program that, as we've talked about in prior years, this is one of those programs that we really look forward to supporting throughout the year. So excited to do this again next year. At the end of September, the Oregon Lottery was honored to help recognize the service of military veterans as a sponsor of the biennial Oregon Women Veterans Conference in Bend. Our executive assistant and Air Force veteran, Sarah Kuykendall, and U.S. Army veteran Angela Rich from our player services team represented Lottery at this event. The day featured inspiring speaker sessions and exhibits that connected veterans with valuable programs across the state. Angela shared how her military experience shaped her ability to deliver exceptional customer service to our winners here at Lottery. As you may know, Oregon Lottery funding supports veteran services as one of our beneficiary programs and contributed more than $184 million since 2016. Supporting events like this is one of the many ways that we honor those who have served, and are pleased that our staff get to go to events like this and participate with our beneficiaries. Now moving on to some not so good news, I wanted to take a moment to talk about budget issues. As you've likely seen in the news, Oregon is facing a general fund shortfall. While lottery is not a general fund agency, this does impact our beneficiaries. In addition, as you've heard, lottery forecast has been significantly downgraded since May, with lottery revenues forecasted to be down approximately $109 million for the 25-27 biennium, with deeper cuts expected in future periods. In response, the state CFO had requested general fund agencies engage in a 5% budget reduction exercise to prepare for what these agencies may be facing throughout this biennium. I have asked Lottery to take some similar steps. We have reviewed approved budgets and have sought to achieve at least a 5% reduction on those budgets that you approved for us at the beginning of the fiscal year. I see these savings are needed to help manage these forecasted revenue declines, as well as potentially achieve some additional savings that we can pass on to our beneficiaries at the end of the fiscal year. Thanks to tremendous work by our staff, we have identified approximately 5.3% of our controllable spending, which we believe we can reduce. This will be accomplished by discontinuing some non-essential out-of-state travel, holding non-essential position vacancies, renegotiating some of our vendor contracts, reprioritizing some of the work that we had on our strategic plan, and then cutting some other expenses across the organization. Now, we believe we can probably find some more cuts as we go through the year, and staff will be watching for areas in which we can find some additional savings. I want to take a moment to specifically thank our business operations analysts, Jess Roberts, Tiffany Graham, and Anna Ollie, as well as our controller, Carl Strauss, for their detailed line-by-line review of our budgets and coordinating with staff. This has been a huge task that they have accomplished in a very short time with staff, and have found actually a lot of areas that we were able to trim, but allow our strategic work to continue. So this has been a lot of hard work, and I really appreciate the time and energy they've put into this. So thank you to them. We will continue to give you updates as we move through the year. We have another forecast coming out here in November, and so we'll be able to give you some forecast updates probably at the next commission meeting as to where things are sitting. As we talk about strategy, a little bit about our current status there. So our strategic plan is built around SMART goals, so that everything we do is focused and measurable as we go throughout the year and try to attain our mission. To keep everyone informed and ensure transparency, we post those quarterly progress updates to our website at the end of each quarter. And as we look at the Q1 of FY26 strategic progress summary, I'm happy to report that we're on track. We are accomplishing the things that we set out to accomplish, what we talked to you about at the beginning of the fiscal year. And just as a very quick summary, kind of covering the main buckets, when it comes to financial stability, we have launched 4 pilot projects under the Lottery Product Profitability Action Plan. These include enhanced prize structures, auto ordering for our scratch ticket distribution, and we're also assessing ways to refine products to better align with industry standards. So a lot of work is being put into our financial stability of this organization. In regards to security and technology, we've initiated 9 of 11 year 2 projects that were in our IT strategic plan, which support our long-term technological strategy, and started reviewing the project portfolio for potential cost savings in future years. So again, a lot of work going on when it comes to security and technology. Regarding our team goals, we've rolled out a psychological safety campaign and continued to activate our leadership pipeline principles throughout the organization. This is training we've provided to all of our managers, and really are focusing on enhancing the leadership capabilities across the lottery. And then lottery community, we continue to advance our community engagement strategies to maintain public trust, increase visibility and accountability with our partners. And we're proud to have woven in 4 industry awards for safer play programs into this unexpectedly throughout this year. So, that's a very quick snapshot. It is posted to our website if you want a little bit more detail on those projects and their statuses. But I'm very proud of the work that we've accomplished so far this year and look forward to continuing to update you on future quarters. Normally, I would provide a sales report, but as this is the end of the quarter, we have a more in-depth sales report later in the agenda. So I will skip that and let staff report to you later on regarding sales. I would like to talk a little bit about rulemaking. So later in this agenda, Chris Scarro is going to be presenting several draft rule changes that I really wanted to touch on. So in July, as a reminder, Lottery proposed draft rules to address bulk purchasing and courier services, both topics that have drawn significant attention nationally in recent years. Additionally, over the last year, Lottery has received a number of requests from partners and other lotteries and other countries to revise its longstanding unregulated approach to couriers. Since July, Lottery staff have conducted an extensive rulemaking process, receiving both written and verbal feedback from a number of people. And as you've seen in the public comments submitted, we've received comments on both. And I really want to thank everybody who participated in that public comment period and provided written and or verbal comments to the Lottery. Well, we strive to draft rules that enhance the Lottery experience, and we look to make our rules as clear as possible. I think the perspectives of many, especially those that are operating in those industries, make our rules better. So I want to take a moment to thank people who take the time to submit public comment. It makes the process better. It makes our rules better. We have carefully reviewed them all, and many of the recommendations we've incorporated in the rules before you today. And we believe those comments have made the rules better, stronger, and clearer. And so those are the rules that you have to consider today. Now, we recognize these changes may affect retailers and will have a negative impact on lottery revenues. We recognize that. However, the Oregon Constitution and the Oregon Revised Statutes are clear. Lottery is to generate maximum revenue commensurate with the public good, and to do so with the utmost fairness, integrity, security, and honesty. And I firmly believe these rules and the changes within them uphold these principles by introducing regulation in a previously unregulated space. I believe they preserve essential partnerships with national brands, and I believe they safeguard the lottery's brand against future scrutiny. Once Chris presents the information later in the meeting, we're certainly happy to discuss and answer any questions you may have related to either of those rules. But before moving on, I also would like to take a moment to acknowledge Chris Scarro, who is our rules and policy analyst, for her exceptional work related not only to these rules, but also to any of the rules and public policy work that she does for this organization. Chris's professionalism and meticulous attention to detail are truly amazing. Her commitment to transparency and integrity in her public engagement deserves recognition, and wanted to take a moment to just recognize her. The way she handles interactions with respect and genuine grace as she deals with public comment, questions about rules and policy, and transparency of this organization is impeccable. Lottery is fortunate to have her, and I just wanted to say thank you to Chris for all the work that she puts into ensuring that our rules and our policies here are the best that they can be, and acknowledge her work that she's put into that. So thank you, Chris. I'm going to move on to some winter stories, but before I do that, also some changes in this area. So, as a reminder, House Bill 3115 provides now that lottery winners may remain anonymous. So, this has changed a number of things that we've done throughout the organization, one of which will be our winter stories. And as I will continue to share winter stories, no longer will they have any names associated with them, as our winners are now considered anonymous unless they choose for their names to be provided. So anonymity comes first. They can sign away their anonymity, but we will provide them anonymity in all of their wins unless they choose differently. So from there, a few winner stories. A winner in Canby came in with excitement to our Wilsonville office to claim a $50,000 Powerball win. She purchased a ticket at Blackjack Deli and more in Canby. She plans to use some of her prize money to help pay for her father's motorcycle. A winner in Albany enjoys playing Keno and uses the quick pick option. He was surprised to see confetti flying after scanning his ticket in the app, where he won $56,030.40 with an 8-spot Keno draw. He and his girlfriend plan to purchase a new family van and are toying with the idea of getting matching tattoos of the Oregon Lottery logo. I hope they do, and we get pictures of that. A sports betting customer from Redmond placed a $50 9-leg same game parlay using player proposition markets in the Eagles versus Giants game. After winning all selections, that $50 bet won the customer $22,550. And with that, Chair Ramirez, that is the end of my report for this month.
Thank you, Director Wells. The minutes of the previous commission meeting have been circulated to the commission in advance of today's meeting. If there are no changes to the minutes, is there a motion to approve?
I'll move the minutes of the Oregon State Lottery Commission meeting for September 26, 2025 be approved as final as presented today.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Conrad?
Aye.
Commissioner Geller?
Aye.
Commissioner Weller?
Aye.
Chair Ramirez?
Aye. For the record, the motion has passed. Now let's move on to Carl Strauss in the financial report.
All right. Good morning, Chair Ramirez, Commissioners, and Director Wells. For the record, my name is Carl Strauss, Controller for the Oregon Lottery. And today we're going to review the first quarter financial results of fiscal year 2026. As of September, the lottery has transferred $234 million to the state. We have an additional transfer of $222 million that has taken place in October. These two transfers bring our total for the year to $456 million, with the remaining two quarterly transfers scheduled to take place in January and April. Expenses as a percentage of gross sales is approximately 3.6%. This number runs slightly higher during the earlier part of the year when compared with our historical average. So these results are consistent with what we would expect to see for the first quarter. We've spent $5.7 million of our investment fund. I apologize, 1 second. We've spent $5.7 million of our investment fund allocation through the end of September. These funds were spent on the planned replacement of video lottery terminals that were at the end of their useful lives. Our contingency reserve ended the quarter at $136 million, or $14 million below our new cap of $150 million. Net revenue for the 3 months ending September 2025 was $356 million, which was $5.2 million above the September forecast. This September revenue forecast was revised downward from the June numbers. However, the net revenue for the current quarter was an increase of $2 million over the same period of the prior year. Sales of traditional lottery products outperformed expectations as the Powerball jackpot grew to 1.8 billion through early September. Traditional lottery products as a whole generated 51 million of net revenue, which was 12 million higher than last year. Video lottery contributed 288 million of net revenue this quarter, which was in line with expectations. However, this was 7 million lower than the prior year as gross dollars played on video declined by 2.3%. The sportsbook revenue continues to grow year over year on a gross revenue basis, but the net revenue of 16 million this quarter was 3 million less than the net revenue of the first quarter of the prior year, and also 7 million below expectations. This was because players had the good fortune of receiving much higher prize payouts than anticipated so far this year. Looking at direct expenses, retail commissions shown on the first line here of direct expense. Commissions paid to video retailers was about 0.5% off of expectations, so very much in line. However, commissions paid to traditional retailers was 26% higher than budget due to that surge in Powerball sales as that jackpot grew. Game vendor charges had a favorable variance of 3 million, recalling that sportsbook players receive a higher prize payout than anticipated this quarter. When that occurs, those losses are shared with the vendor through reduced game vendor charges. Game equipment parts and maintenance has an unfavorable variance of 675,000 due to receiving a new game set slightly earlier than planned to launch. But that variance will not persist and should be resolved by next quarter. Indirect revenue was favorable by nearly $1 million. I'm sorry, yes, indirect revenue. This was the cumulative effect of higher interest earned on our short-term cash managed by the Treasury, the recognition of fair market value adjustments on investments, and these items were slightly offset by a capital asset write-off related to changing of the capital threshold from 5,000 to 10,000 that we did this year. As for indirect expenses, labor costs, as reported under salary, wages, and benefits, has a favorable variance due to the management of vacant positions. Service and supplies has a favorable variance of 2.9 million due to multiple factors, as would be expected with a broad category. But those included savings on professional service contracts of 1.5 million for contracts involving security and IT services, as well as $800,000 of savings on our retail network upgrade project. This is the migration of retailers to a new network. This project is occurring faster than planned, however, at a lower average cost per line than we had planned. Those savings are not expected to persist as the budget was allocated flatly throughout the year, while total costs will continue to rise as the number of retailers on the new network increases. Net profit for the 3 months ending September was 211 million. This was an improvement of 8.7 million or 4.3% above the budget amount, which is due again to that combination of higher net revenue and lower expenses that we've discussed. A comprehensive variance analysis was provided in the commission packets and public meeting materials. Please see these for additional detailed explanations on the year-to-date performance. Also included, you'll find the balance sheet, cash flow statements, and other quarterly reports for your consideration. And at this time, I'd be happy to take any questions or comments.
I've got one quick question. So, Carl, the 5.3% that Director Wells spoke about earlier to try and come in line with what some of the other general fund agencies are doing, are you keeping track of that? Should we have expectations going in the future that you're going to be monitoring that? Or is that 5.3% reduction just going to be rolled into some of the numbers that you just went through?
We will be keeping track of that. So we won't be adjusting our starting balance. So we should see variances continue to grow over the year as those savings that we've just recently identified are realized. So those variances, we should be reporting savings each quarter.
Thank you.
Are the Q1 savings that you've already realized part of the 5% total?
In some cases, Some of these will persist, but not all. So some of these will reverse, but some of these are part of the savings that we're expecting to persist. The savings on vacant positions, for example, we'll continue to hold those vacant.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Chair Ramirez, I would add to that, like some of the renegotiated contracts that Carl talked about, like a security contract that we're able to find some savings on, that is realized in what he's discussing. So some of them are, and some of them are yet to be realized.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions? If not, is there a motion to approve the financial statements?
I'll move to approve.
Do I hear a second?
I'll
Second.
second.
Will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Conrad,
Aye.
Commissioner Geller,
Aye.
Commissioner Weller,
Aye.
Chair Ramirez.
Aye. For the record, the motion has passed. Now we will move on to Chris Scarrow in rulemaking.
Thank you, Chair Ramirez, Commissioners, Director Wells, good morning. For the record, my name is Chris Scarrow. I'm the Rules and Policy Analyst for Lottery. And as Mike said, we have 2 rulemaking items for you this month. So first up are courier services. So when I was here in July, we proposed some draft rules that establish a regulatory framework for retailers who choose to work with a courier. Under the rules, retailers working with the courier need to notify Lottery and agree to ensure the courier complies with the requirements in the rule, which include prohibiting sales to minors and people outside the state of Oregon, securely storing tickets held on behalf of customers, and protecting the personal information of customers. We have completed the required public rulemaking process. To summarize that very briefly for the record, we filed notice with the Secretary of State on July 14th. We notified interested parties, legislators, media, retailers, and industry organizations. We provided 12 weeks for the public to comment in writing, and we held a rulemaking hearing. 9 people commented on the rules. The public comment report and full text of each comment were provided to the Director and Commission prior to today's meeting for your consideration. The report and comments are also available to the public on the rulemaking page of the OregonLottery.org website. As Director Wells said, we did revise the rules in response to public comment. So the changes that we made between July and the rules we're recommending today are summarized in a 1-pager that's included in today's meeting materials. They're also shown visually in the track changes, also in the meeting materials. As Director Wells said, we think the changes improve the overall quality of the rules while still meeting our original goal, which was to ensure that these ticket sales through a courier comply with national draw game rules and provide a basic level of protections for players who are choosing to use a courier service to get lottery tickets. Director Wells has reviewed the rules, considered all comments received, and he recommends the Commission adopt and amend the rules as they're presented to you today to be effective on January 1st. So happy to take some questions, or otherwise you'll have a motion in your materials when you're ready to make a motion.
Commissioner Geller?
Well, first of all, thank you. I really thought your response to comments was very clear and helpful, and I appreciate how responsive the lottery was to the public process and those who engaged with the rulemaking process. It's an important part of how we write these rules. As I was rereading these just a couple days ago, that I did have a question about, there was a strike on courier service being required to maintain liability insurance, and I was just curious about that change.
Yeah, Commissioner Geller, that's a good question. So we did get a comment at the end of the comment period asking us to clarify the types and amounts of liability insurance that we're wanting to see. And so I went and looked at what other states require, and it seemed that most of the states who have a system like we do just didn't have insurance requirements. And so we felt that if we weren't able to articulate exactly what types and amounts we wanted, that we could be silent on that and leave that as a business decision for the couriers. We do have 2 sections of the rule that address lottery liability. So we have the indemnification clause, and then also regarding the courier absolving us from liability in their agreements. So we felt that was sufficient and just strike that for now.
Chris, can I follow up on that?
Sure.
I'm just curious, have there been any court cases or anything that have supported being silent? Doesn't create any issues for the lottery for silent on the liability issue?
I'm not aware of any court cases. I mean, I think we're not directly regulating or licensing the courier here. In states that more directly oversee the couriers, I think that would be more appropriate for them to be setting insurance limits. We're really regulating our retailer. That's our enforcement mechanism here. We don't have, some states do have a statutory framework for courier licensure. We don't have that here. So our enforcement mechanism is more through the retailer. So I think we're comfortable staying out of the business decisions of the courier and just making sure that the retailer's obligations are clear under the rules.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I had a quick question. So the rule states that the courier service has to determine the location of the customer when they place an order. Can you talk a little bit more about what that mechanism actually is for them to determine that? And then how will the lottery track compliance with that?
So that's a good question. Mike can probably say more about the technical aspects of geolocation, but I think the longtime operators in this space, I think, are really good at geolocation. It's kind of a standard feature. So like our sports betting app has robust geolocation, so it just knows where you are. And so some of the operators, so for example, New York and New Jersey are kind of the model states because they've had rigorous courier regulations for a long time, and they've always had a geolocation requirement. So providers in that space are used to that. And I think it's works really well. I know we've tested DraftKings geolocation. Mike, do you have anything to say about the technical aspects of that?
Yeah, I would just say, I mean, it's pretty common in the industry, geolocation for this, right? We have, there's a lot of rules, especially when it comes to sports betting and gaming, that require wagers to be placed in certain locations or non-tribal territories, or so there is a lot of rule around this, and the vendors and the providers of these services are pretty accustomed to having geolocation requirements in rules. So, I mean, it is technical in the way it works, but it's not uncommon, and it's something that's actually pretty much used in every application you use anymore. So, although technical in the way that it works, it's pretty mainstream in all of the products that we use. So this is not, I think, a surprise probably to any of the operators in this space that this would be a requirement.
And then the responsibility for compliance is on the retailer to do that. And is that correct?
I mean, yes, the responsibility is on the courier if they want to keep working with our retailer, but our retailer is the enforcement mechanism there. So it's on the retailer. I did want to mention, we did add that the geolocation needs to be third-party tested annually, which again, I think is a common thing that they do. I think an operator actually asked us for that because that's just what they're used to doing. And so the geolocation will be tested periodically by an independent third party, and we could access those results. So you had said, how would we know if they're doing that? So that would be one mechanism for us to test compliance on that point. But yes, to answer your question, the retailer is required to ensure that the courier follows the geolocation. So it is on the retailer, just because that is our enforcement mechanism.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions or comments from the commission? Is there a motion to adopt this proposed rulemaking?
I move that OAR 177-040-0053 be adopted and OAR 177-046-0100 be amended as presented in the meeting materials today, effective January 1, 2026.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Conrad,
Aye.
Commissioner Geller,
Aye.
Commissioner Weller,
Aye.
Chair Ramirez.
Aye. For the record, the motion has passed. Now let's move on to bulk ticket rulemaking.
Thank you, Chair. So also back in July, we proposed rules to prohibit bulk ticket purchases. So these were in response to a high-profile incident in Texas where investors purchased almost all the possible number combinations in a drawing to win a very large jackpot prize. Since we went out with our rules, other state lotteries have since proposed similar measures to prohibit bulk purchases. Again, we've completed the required rulemaking process for these rules. So briefly to summarize for the record, we filed notice with the Secretary of State on July 11th, notified interested parties, legislators, and media. We provided 7 weeks for the public to comment in writing and held a rulemaking hearing. We received comment from 5 individuals, and again, the comment report and full text of the comments was provided to each commissioner and director prior to today's meeting, and that information is available to the public on our the rulemaking page of the OregonLottery.org website. We did again revise the rules in response to public comment and further analysis. So the final recommended rules limit scratch and ticket purchases to no more than 50,000 tickets in the same game, limit draw game purchases to no more than 3% of all possible number combinations. We defined acting in concert to clarify what types of coordinated purchasing activity is prohibited by the rule. And lastly, allow us to deny prize payment if a ticket is obtained in violation of laws or rules that apply to the lottery. We think the final recommended rules balance accessibility with game integrity. So 3% is far below what you would need to buy to guarantee a prize or rig a game. In the Texas case I mentioned, they purchased 99% of all possible number combinations. So we think 3% is a good deterrent. Additionally, by using a percent limit, future game or matrix changes would not require a rule change. And this is similar to the approach of the Montana Lottery, who recently proposed capping purchases at 5% of the total game matrix. Director Wells has reviewed the rules, considered all comment received, and he recommends the Commission amend the rules as they're presented to you here today to be effective on January 1st of 2026. So happy to take questions, and otherwise you'll have a motion if you're ready to make a motion.
Right. If there are no questions from the commission, is there a motion to adopt the proposed rulemaking?
I move that OAR 177-046-0020 and OAR 177-046-0090 be amended as presented in the meeting materials today, effective January 1st, 2020.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Conrad, Commissioner Conrad?
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Geller,
Aye.
Commissioner Weller,
Aye.
Chair Ramirez.
Aye. For the record, the motion has passed. Now let's move on to staff updates.
Good morning, Chair Ramirez, Commissioners, Director Wells. For the record, my name is Jen Bagger, Retail Channel Products Supervisor for Lottery Products Portfolio. Today, I'll be presenting the lottery products highlight for the first quarter of FY26. Next slide, please. For Scratch-Its, net revenue reached $12.3 million, reflecting a 5.2% year-over-year increase. Total Scratch-It revenue was approximately $41.5 million, up 6.5% year-over-year. Our top 5 sellers for the last quarter demonstrated continued customer preference for higher price points, with all leading games priced at $10, $20, or $30. Notably, our 40th anniversary ticket maintained its position as the #1 game throughout the quarter, generating over $11.4 million in sales since its January launch, and holding that top position for a total of 32 weeks. And next slide, please. Next up, we have Jackpot Games and Keno highlights. And just as a reminder, Jackpot game sales are primarily driven by jackpot size, while Keno performance is influenced by its 8-spot rolling jackpot feature. This trend is well represented here by Powerball's nearly $1.8 billion jackpot in early September. Quarterly total revenue reached $38.7 million, with net revenue of $19.3 million, representing a year-over-year increase of more than 267%. Keno experienced a modest increase of 1.2%, whereas Oregon's game Megabucks and Mega Millions declined by approximately 20% year-over-year. In this first quarter of FY26, these 4 games generated total revenue of $85.4 million and net revenue of $38.3 million, reflecting an overall increase of 41.8% year-over-year. And that actually concludes the lottery products update. Are there any questions? All right, I will hand it over to Sar. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. Chair Ramirez, Commissioners, Director Wells, good morning. For the record, my name is Sar Richards, and I'm the manager of the video gaming products here at the lottery and presenting last quarter's update. Next slide, please, Carrie. As Carl stated earlier, we came in at $288 million, which is roughly 2.4% below the same period last year. We've been very busy this year. Kudos to Tech Services. All of the E20s, which were our lowest performing terminal, have been removed, replaced with a Cascada. We've also begun to deploy the Sierra. And while here I just say over 200 deployed, as of this morning, it was 284 deployed. So we're making really great progress. Right now, we're averaging about 33 per week, but it's because video support is heading a lot to Eastern Oregon to get that out of the way before the bad weather starts hitting. So that average will go up as we hit more on the western side of the state. Sierra itself is doing very well. It's the top terminal based on averages. That taken with a grain of salt because it's also only gone to some of the best performing retailers, and that'll come down a little bit. But right now, Sierra is doing wonderfully. We talked a lot about Beaver State in the past. It's fully out and deployed. It's doing better than we expected to do, honestly. It's benefiting from, I don't know if anybody's seen the campaign that's been out right now that's across social media. It's having a great effect. Right now, it's #1 on the Cascada and holding its own against games with larger jackpots, which is really impressive. We also launched Mermaid Garden, and we just launched also Cash Eruption. Just because the Oxygen is the next terminal to come out of the field, that's the terminal being replaced by Sierra, and we wanted to get all the games on it to get the best return on investment for the portfolio. Any questions on what's going on with video?
I'm just curious what you think. There's been this big, broad effort to update hardware and new games and so forth. If we hadn't done that, would you think that the net revenue would be significantly worse than it is right now?
I do, because content is king. Content is what drives the terminals. And like right now, Oxygen, you can't get any more games for it. And if people become bored with it,
that play will go down. We've seen that. When we start like with the E20, it becomes stale, the content becomes stale, and people look to move their entertainment dollars to other places. And so we have to remain relevant, up to date. And as terminals age and get past the point of being able to get content, then we can't renew them and refresh them. So yeah, I'm sure we could do some analysis if requested, but yes, I mean, just when I've seen new hardware leads to new games, leads to better revenue. Of
All right, thank you.
course. Anything else? All right, turn it over to Carrie.
Good morning, Chair Ramirez, Commissioners, Director Wells. For the record, my name is Carrie Hemphill, Sports Betting Product Manager here at the Oregon Lottery. The sports product for Q1 saw over 95,000 new customers come in and place a wager. Sorry, not new, but just customers themselves. Typically, this is our slowest quarter of the year, but with baseball as the primary sport, we continue to show solid volume growth. A slow start to the NFL season, however, muted overall revenue numbers, which led to a small decline from last year. In the green box, you will see a year-over-year comparison where we were up in the number of bets by 14%, turnover or dollars wagered was up by 10%. Unique active players, so those are new customers coming in and placing at least one wager in the quarter, was up by 14%. And gross gaming revenue was a negative 7%, and I'll talk about that in just a second. As mentioned, baseball was our marquee sport, and it performed exceptionally well, accounting for about 32% of total betting handle. And with margins up significantly from last year, it contributed nicely to gross gaming revenue. The Mariners and Dodgers were the most popular betting teams of the quarter, with the Mariners generating really good buzz as Cal Raleigh, the catcher for the Mariners, chased the home run record and the league MVP award. In current news, we are heading into World Series Game 6 tonight, and with the possibility of Game 7 tomorrow for MLB. The extended duration of the World Series is really great for our sports betting product, as it gives the MLB customers more opportunities to wager. Football received a great boost with the NFL regular season starting off in early September. As mentioned earlier, the overall revenue for the quarter was down when compared to year-over-year metrics. And the main reason for that was September's revenue, which was down the first 2 weekends of the NFL regular season. Volume was excellent with football activity, but poor results for a couple, and really specifically 2 Sunday night NFL games, put downward pressure on our margins for the quarter. These 2 games in September were high scoring, which resulted in customers winning a lot of their proposition bets. Despite all the wins favoring the customers for those 2 games, which resulted in a decrease in GGR, when compared to year over year, the product growth still continued to increase. And with a long season ahead, we'll have numerous opportunities to bounce back in Q2. You'll see just a little bit of specific football comparisons year over year. So number of bets and dollars wagered were both increases. And then, like I said, 2 specific games for Sunday night caused GGR to decrease. Table tennis continues to grow nicely. It was up 20% in year over year in turnover, which generated over $2 million in gross gaming revenue. The return of the NFL did not have an effect on table tennis. It remained our 3rd most popular sport for our customers. And new users in the quarter posted a solid increase as well. So Oregon, we added 19,284 new customers coming into the sportsbook, which outpaced Q1 of last year by 1,500 customers, which is an increase of 8.9%, which this is a great sign for Q2 growth and moving forward as we're entering our very busy sports season with the NFL, the MLB closing out with the World Series, and we also have the NBA and NHL regular seasons kicking off. That is the sports product update for the quarter. Any questions? Thank you.
All right, thank you. So I'd like to open it up to the commissioners for any communication or other business that they'd like to convey. Okay. So this concludes today's meeting of the Oregon State Lottery Commission. The next meeting is scheduled on Friday, November 21st. Thank you for attending today's meeting. The meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, commissioners. Have a great weekend.